So it's December the 16th of 2024, and that means we are just about a week away from Christmas, and not far off from that will be New Year's. So I started this page, I started the page Sane in the Asylum as like a personal recovery blog from an attempt, um, and I started it during my first year of recovery. It was at the conclusion of my first year of recovery that I started it. And it's followed me now through the second year of recovery, which I've hit. And I switched gears from there, from like physical well-being, um, like exercise and diet and different supplements. I mean, I'm still doing those things, but I've switched to a different element of healing. I've entered this phase of looking back at my life and some things that I didn't finish or didn't accomplish and never got back around to doing. And I've started to look at those and see which ones I need to work towards to help me get to where I want to be in the future. And one of those was my high school equivalency. And so just right around Thanksgiving, in the spur of the moment decision, I went online and I filled out the application for the GED exam, or the HiSET exam as they call it now. And just a few days later, I was given a call back to come in and take the practice testing, and then sign up for the actual class. So it wasn't long after that at all. Long after I started the in-class prep for the HiSET exam, that my mother died, that I was notified that my mother was dead. And I don't mean I was notified, but I found out. And it was such a strange thing. And I don't mean that it's strange. I mean, of course it's strange, your mother's dead. But it was strange the way that I found out. And the timing also was sort of strange. So, on just a normal day where I was out in the world getting the ball rolling on these things that I was, the gear that I was shifting into, the things that I put in place to start moving towards this other part of my life, I had just been out doing those things. And I came back, it was a completely normal day, and I was scrolling through Facebook. So, anyways, I came home one night and I was scrolling through Facebook, and I came across a post from like a distant cousin. I mean, she's not a distant cousin, but not a cousin that I have a very close relationship with. And there it was, rest in peace, my mother's name. And at first I didn't believe it, but I quickly verified it, and it was my mother, and she was gone. So after I found out that way, I was sort of in shock for a while. And I mean, I kind of processed through it pretty quickly. I mean, not necessarily quickly as in healthily, but I had other things on my plate and things that I had to do. And I was sort of in shock, not only that she was gone, that she was dead, because it was a sudden death. Not necessarily unexpected, but sudden. It was sepsis, and with sepsis, it's onset, rapid progression, and then you're gone most of the time, more often than not, unless you're treated very quickly. But even then, sometimes. So it wasn't unexpected because she did have other health problems, but it was very sudden, and nobody notified me. And you have to understand that with this past couple of years from my attempt, I've kind of been disowned by my entire family. Nobody will really talk to me. And they will talk to me at arm's length if I reach out first. But with that, it's kind of traumatizing because you can tell when somebody is dealing with you like from the neck up because their emotions aren't in it, their real feelings aren't in it, and they hide things from you. And so I just, to be involved in a situation like that, you kind of have to dehumanize yourself to a degree because you're dealing with somebody who has already dehumanized you and has taken a step way back from you, which is understandable in a way, but also not understandable in a way. So, as I've been dealing with this recovery process for the past 2 years, my family has not talked to me. So, my mother passing away in this time frame just after I hit the 2 year mark. I hit the 2 year mark sometime in October, and she was gone right at the beginning of December. So, it was so shortly after. So, I'm not trying to make it about me because it's not about me, but also, if it had been my daughter, no matter what kind of relationship we had, I would be seething if she had found out about my death through a Facebook post. Because that's not the way anybody should ever find out about anybody that close to them dying. Though it was a sudden death, there were plenty of people that were not necessarily close to my mother that were notified about what was happening. And there were plenty of cousins that barely had a relationship with her that knew about her being dead before I did. So it's not that it was so sudden because if other people were notified and other cousins knew before I did, and especially being that there was a very close family member in a very similar situation to me that was notified, though they didn't make it, they were notified and told what was happening. So there was really not a great excuse for me not knowing. And I do realize that it was a strange thing. And life is strange. And this is not an appropriate response to it. But I feel like if I had the appropriate response under my circumstances to my mother being dead and what I just kind of went through with that, it would horrify people. So this is the response that we're getting. And honestly, I think it's much more preferable to the one that I could be having. So as that went on, um, and there were other things that went on throughout that, but talking about my mom is going to be a completely different um, situation. So I continued going to school, and this coming week I should be taking the the 3 days of exams, and if I pass them, then before Christmas I'll have my GED certificate or my high school equivalency certificate. In fact, I was up today at 4:30, completely prepared and expecting that today I was going to be sitting through the first portion of the exams. And then I rechecked the schedule and it's Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So not again until tomorrow. But I hope that I wake up in the same frame of mind to go and take that test as I did today because I was ready for it today. But an extra day to build up the suspense. I don't know if that's going to be great for me. So I was originally very anxious about people finding out who I was or seeing my face or what have you. But now that my mother's died, and that's been such a recent event, but now that it's happened, I feel like there's not a whole lot holding me back. Even though I still do live in the same space, in the same place that I've lived my whole life, and I still do have to deal with people around me that were not savory parts of my life. But at a point, you just have to move on with your life like none of that exists. Anyways, moving on with my life and continuing to move in the direction that moves me forward and away from these circumstances while still honoring the events that are making up my life and the emotions that they're bringing up and all of that stuff is what I plan to continue doing. I don't know where it's going to take me or what sort of headspace it's going to take me into, but I'm going to continue moving forward in that direction because it's what I need, it's what's best for me, and it's what's best for everybody that's trying to rebuild themselves. Everybody has a right to their story, and I firmly believe that. All right.